Hello, everybody, and welcome on in. It is Thanksgiving week, so happy Thanksgiving, and we have another edition of Power Rankings to be able to unfold. Before we do, I want to quickly say if you're new, subscribe would be greatly appreciated. Leave a like and let me know your thoughts down below. Now let's jump right into it. We start things off with the honorable mentions and the teams that were on a bye week, which is the Los Angeles Chargers and the Denver Broncos. They were on their bye week. They does fit into the honorable mentions. Otherwise, if they would have played, they would have been top 10. So they begin off the honorable mention. The first honorable mention is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. It was a very ugly win, but in a way, it was kind of dominant for the 49ers as they look to keep pace in the NFC West. The defense being the main story of this game. The Panthers were held in check pretty much the entire time. Bryce Young only had 168 yards passing in this one and was picked off twice. The ground game was held to 69 yards rushing on 13 carries. The Panthers were forced to abandon the run pretty early on in this game, and thus Bryce Young had to pass a lot. They blitzed him a lot in this one as well, and that's where the two interceptions came from. It's a game highlighted by the defense because the 49ers offense surely had no highlights of their own in this one. They really struggled. Purdy barely was able to throw the ball 10 plus yards down the field with any type of consistency. He threw 3 interceptions in this one. All of them were on throws 15 plus yards down the field. And it felt like for each and every one, he just did not put enough into them. McCaffrey had a solid showing against his former team, being a major part of the offense as always, but it was nothing impressive from the offense. While the defense had a really impressive showing considering all the pieces they are missing due to injury. So the 49ers do come in as an honorable mention. The next honorable mention is the Jacksonville Jaguars. After how they played against the Chargers the week prior, I kind of expected a little bit more from them, especially in the game against the Arizona Cardinals. But a win is a win, even if it happens in overtime. Trevor Lawrence did not have his greatest of games. He did throw for 256 yards and 3 touchdowns, but sprinkled in there is 3 interceptions and a fumble. The fumble ended up being a scoop and score. But on the same side of all that, of those 3 interceptions, the Cardinals only got points off of one of those, as the defense had a pretty incredible game. Only giving up 7 points off of those 3 interceptions is the big reason why the Jaguars won this game. On top of it, they held the Arizona ground game to 56 yards on 20 carries, and Jacoby Brissett had to end up throwing the ball 49 times in this game. So the Jaguars defense definitely did come out and show up in this game. I'm going to give them credit for that. But again, the offense was just off throughout this one. Travis Etienne did still have a good game all around, 116 yards from scrimmage, a receiving touchdown in this one. But with the amount of turnovers that Jacksonville had, it's a tough one. Cam Little had a great game, have to give him respect as well. But Jacksonville still just falls into the honorable mention. And the final honorable mention is the Houston Texans. The story of the Texans winning this one wasn't the offense by any means, so they did play well in this game. They kept the ball secure. That's all they really needed to do. What was really the story, and has been the story really this entire season for Houston, is their defense. Continues to be a top tier unit in this league. They picked off Josh Allen twice, including the game-winning interception. Both were by Kalen Bullock, and they also forced a fumble. They sacked Josh Allen 8 times in this game, a completely dominant showing. They gave up only 12 points to the Bills' offense throughout the entire game. The other 7 that the Bills scored were through special teams. But it was a really impressive feat that they had in this one. And the offense, they did their job. Davis Mills, 153 yards and 2 touchdowns. Woody Marks had 74 yards on the ground. The key thing is that they did not turn the ball over. This is a defense that can win you a Super Bowl and can get you deep into the playoffs. All they need is an above average offense behind them, and they're getting CJ Stroud most likely back next week. And him being thrown into this offense is going to drastically improve the offensive production. So Houston, they have a chance to go on a bit of a run, still having to play the Colts twice and make a big splash in this season. So because of all that, they become an honorable mention. Number 10 is the Baltimore Ravens, and not the best of offensive showings from the Ravens, but they got the job done against the Jets at home. Lamar Jackson, 153 yards through the air. Derrick Henry ran for 64 yards and 2 touchdowns on 21 carries. So a bit of an up and down type of showing once again for the offense. Though the offense and this team as a whole has won 5 straight, the offense has not had a standout performance in really any of those 5. They do play Cincy next week on Thanksgiving, so there's a chance there for the offense to really find the spark of life and be able to run with that. We will see. Meanwhile, though, the defense has certainly found its life. They gave up less than 20 points in the past 6 games, going 5-1 in those games. Breece Hall only had 44 yards on 16 carries in this one. They forced 2 turnovers. They shut down the Jets pretty much the entire game. And the Ravens are sitting in first place of the AFC North, like their pretty bad start never even happened. The Ravens, again, another team with a great opportunity here to go on a bit of a run late in this season. If they're able to, they're going to be a pretty tough team to beat in January. We'll see if they'll be able to do that. They come in at number 10. Number 9 is the Indianapolis Colts. And they had that game won. They were up 11 entering the fourth, but they let the Chiefs hang around too much, and it ended up coming back to bite them in the end. Daniel Jones played fine for what it's worth, 181 yards and 2 touchdowns in this one, but towards the end, he just wasn't on his game. Meanwhile, Jonathan Taylor ran the ball for 58 yards on 16 carries, so not the greatest of games, but the Chiefs defense will do that to you. The Colts defense did have a really solid game. They forced 2 turnovers. They shut the Chiefs out for 2 of the quarters they played in this one. But eventually they broke down in the end due to them just simply being on the field for too long. At the end of this game, the Colts had 4 straight 3-and-outs, and the offense was on the field for just over 5 minutes, counting both the fourth quarter and overtime. Simply, that's not a good enough job to close out a game, and that's why the Chiefs were able to come back in this one and win in overtime. Couldn't close it out. They have a very tough remaining schedule left, and they've lost 2 of their last 3. The Colts had this fantastic start to the season, but now the real test is starting to show. If they end up losing a few of these games down the stretch, we're talking about a Colts team that really failed on what was a potentially great season. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but for now they do fall to number 9. Number 8 is the Chicago Bears, and they hanged on to win this one. It was a very solid game that they played against Mason Rudolph, so a little bit of a grain of salt there. Caleb Williams threw for 236 yards and 3 touchdowns in this one. He did have that fumble that ended up being 6 going the other way, but he bounced back from it pretty nicely. Kyle Monangai led the team in rushing with 48 yards. He did have a touchdown in this one. The Bears as a whole had just under 100 yards on the ground. So again, a pretty fine enough performance. The defense played well, especially against the pass. They only gave up 171 yards to Mason Rudolph. They also picked him off once. But against the ground, they really struggled. Kenneth Gainwell ran for 92 yards. Jaylen Warren had 68 yards. The Steelers as a whole had 186 yards against them. And that is a very tough run defense to have when your division is made up of Josh Jacobs, Jahmyr Gibbs, and David Montgomery as the other 3 top running backs in the league, at least in the division. It's going to be a very uncertain. There's a lot of uncertainty going in the future with Chicago. They still have the Packers to play twice. Still have a rematch with Detroit coming up. It's not the easiest schedule down the stretch. I'm going to be very interested to see how they handle these final few weeks. And for now, they come in at number 8. Number 7 is the Green Bay Packers. And this defense continues to be a great unit for the Packers. They once again had a dominant showing. JJ McCarthy struggled against this defense, only 87 yards passing on the day for him. The ground game wasn't much either. This defense held Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones to a combined 83 yards on 17 carries. So a really good showing from the defense. The Vikings were kept out of the end zone the entire game and shut out the entire second half. Again, the Packers defense is not something anyone has questions about. Meanwhile, the offense, on the other hand, it was a fine performance. I still feel like it's in a very incomplete state, though. They need someone to step up for Jordan Love, to be that guy for Jordan Love. The good news is Jayden Reed was at practice this past Friday, but his status going forward and when he's going to be returning is still unknown, with the only information we have being soon. So until then, who's going to be the guy to step up? Time will tell on that one. Emmanuel Wilson had a great performance, 2 touchdowns, just over 100 yards on the day. This team has the talent to be a team that can be a legitimate contender, but until they figure out that missing piece right now, which is just who is the number 1 target for Jordan Love, there's going to be a lot of hurdles in their way, and can they simply make those jumps and get over the hump? Time will tell. We will see. They come in at number 7. Number 6 is the Detroit Lions. It wasn't the dominant showing I was expecting from the Lions this week, but still nice enough to get the win. It's a win. A win is a win, especially in overtime. Jared Goff had just about 280 yards on the day and 2 touchdowns, so a pretty solid showing for him. Amon-Ra St. Brown, just about 150 yards receiving, so another solid showing for him. But the real star of this game and the real difference maker was Jahmyr Gibbs. A fantastic game with 219 yards rushing and 3 total touchdowns in this one. He had the game-winning touchdown run of 69 yards on the first play of overtime. It was a great showing once again. The defense did struggle a bit against Jameis Winston. They gave up 266 yards and 2 touchdowns throwing to him. They also gave up a 30-plus yard receiving touchdown to Jameis, which was probably the play of the year so far for the Giants. But still, they stepped up when they needed to in the end. They gave the offense a chance to tie or take the lead late. They then stuffed the Giants' potential last gasp in regulation pretty well. And then in overtime, they held the Giants strong. Aiden Hutchinson called game with the sack on the final play. It was a really, really fun series to watch. But they still need more consistency on both sides of the ball, really, if the Lions are going to finally reach the potential that a lot of people feel like they have in them. This was a team that won 15 games last year and got bounced in the divisional round. They have the talent on this roster, and really the window, who knows how much longer they have, as a lot of their young guys are going to be up for contract extension soon. For now, though, the Lions do come in at number 6. Number 5 is the Buffalo Bills, and I can't fully say that the Bills offense played terribly in this one. It wasn't good, but it wasn't terribly. They were able to move the ball relatively well against this Houston defense. Josh Allen at 250 yards through the air. James Cook ran for 116 yards. The issue was the Bills' drives continuously stalled out, especially when they got past midfield, in large part thanks to an offensive line that just did not play well. Allen was sacked for a career high 8 times in this one, multiple of those sacks coming on third down. And it was tweeted during the game that Josh Allen had a sack rate of about 14.8 at one point in this one. Well, going back through it after the game ended and through NFL Pro, Josh Allen's sack rate on third down this season is at a career high 16.8%. Compared that to last year when he won MVP, it was 4.4%, and the year prior in 2023, it was 5.6%. So this offensive line is playing about 4 to 3 times worse than it did last year on third down, and you're not going to be able to win in the NFL with that kind of production, especially when the receiving core around Josh Allen has took a massive hit over the past 2 seasons as well. So with that, the Bills are a team that feels like they're wasting an opportunity with the landscape of the rest of the AFC. And because of it, I can't be too high on them the rest of the way, although I'm sure I will get sucked back into the Josh Allen hype. But for now, they come in at number 5. Number 4 is the Philadelphia Eagles. And I try to understand what kind of team Philly is every single week. And each week they keep throwing a new wrench at me and leaving me like those old cartoons where there was birds overhead of characters that get hit in the head. It was a great start for Philly in this one. Both sides being dominant, went up 21-0 early on. And then they just completely let up on the gas the final 40 minutes in this game. They gave up 24 unanswered and they got stonewalled. 4 straight punts after going up 21, with 3 of those being on 3 and outs. After those, it was a missed kick, 2 fumbles, 1 on special teams, and another punt, and that was all she wrote. The ground game was non-existent, only having 63 yards. But then when you look deeper into it, Saquon Barkley only had 10 carries in this game, and the last carry he had in this game came with 5:52 remaining in the third quarter when they were up 14. So that level of play calling just makes absolutely no sense to me. And looking even deeper, there was only 4 carries and run plays in general after that mark. All four went to Jalen Hurts. And in the fourth quarter, only one of those was a designed keeper. The other one in the fourth quarter was a scramble drill. This is an Eagles team that completely let up on the gas. They abandoned the run when they were up 14. The play calling just doesn't make sense. It's going to cost them. It has multiple times already this season, especially in the playoffs. It's going to be very interesting to see how the play calling works out. For now, though, the Eagles still have a defense that I feel relatively confident in, even with giving up 24 unanswered, so they come in at number 4. The Seattle Seahawks are at number 3, and it was a solid bounce-back win for Seattle after the tough loss against the Rams a week prior. Darnold played a lot better in this one. He kept control of the ball, threw for 244 yards and 2 touchdowns, both of which went to Jackson Smith-Njigba, who continues to have a great season and now holds the single-season receiving yards record for the Seattle Seahawks, and we're only 11 weeks in. Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet both had solid showings, combining for 106 yards and a touchdown on 17 carries. The defense also played solid as well. They held the Tennessee ground game to 64 yards. Tony Pollard only had 20 of those. Cam Ward was 50% completion in this one, and they kept giving the offense the ball early on with chances to extend this lead. It was a very nice bounce back win for Seattle, a performance that not as dominant as you would expect going against a team like Tennessee, but the Titans this season have been able to hang around a bit with some quality teams, just unable to finish the job in those games. Seattle, very solid showing. I like what I saw from the offense. The defense played well also. They come in back in the back in the top three at number 3. Number 2 is the New England Patriots. And I was expecting a little bit more of a dominant showing for New England, especially offensively, but it was still a nice win. They've won 9 straight games now. Drake May did have a really good showing aside from the pick six. He had a career high in passing yards with 294. Still, that 300-yard passing game is elusive to him, but he's having a great season. I can't complain too much. Ground game was relatively fine, but not what I was expecting out of it. The defense played really well. They got a pick six against Flacco, held him to 183 yards through the air. They did give up 107 yards and 5.6 yards per carry to Chase Brown. So a little bit of concerns there, but it's a more sort of one-off thing that we've seen from New England so far this season. Wasn't their greatest of games, but it still got the win. But it does drop them on the rankings by 1 spot. And there's technically two very specific reasons for that. And that is during the game, both rookie left linemen, Will Campbell at left tackle and Jared Wilson at left guard, were both carted off the field during this game. Though it is reported that both are not believed to be season-ending injuries, so they will be back at some point, hopefully before the playoffs. If they can get back right before the playoffs, it would be great to get them a game rep before entering the playoffs. But it is still a tough blow. Those two guys are playing at insanely high levels for being rookies. It's going to be very interesting to see how New England handles the offense going forward with those guys going to be missing some time. It's going to be a good test for May and this team. The Patriots, because of that, come in at number 2. And then number 1, the Los Angeles Rams. Just dominance. Pure and utter dominance on Sunday Night Football for the Rams from start to finish. They were in firm control of this game and it had this under wraps very early on. Stafford started this game 12 for 12 before throwing an incompletion, and some of his touchdown passes were absolute beautiful to watch, especially both of the ones to Davante Adams. It was a great performance. He ended the day with 273 yards and 3 touchdowns to extend his case for MVP, which he is definitely the favorite after this week, I feel. Puka Nacua and Davante Adams continue to be one of the best 1-2 punches at receiver this season, and things are just seemingly very, very easy for them, no matter really who they play. The defense was also unstoppable. They held the Buccaneers to 103 yards through the air, 123 yards on the ground, but a majority of those yards came in the second half when the game was already over, and both teams were just trying to kill the clock. They picked off Baker Mayfield twice in this one, including a pick six early on. They gave the Rams a 14-point lead early, and I'm not really sure if there's a team that is playing as sound football and as complete and complementary football as the Rams are right now. It is very impressive to watch. Both sides of the ball, all 3 phases of the game are playing fantastic. Harrison Mevis went perfect yesterday for his first two career field goal attempts after spending the spring in Birmingham with the Stallions in the UFL. He's been playing great in relief at kicker. The entire Rams team has been playing great, and they come in at the top spot of my power ranking. Well, there you have it. Quick little rundown. The Baltimore Ravens at 10, Indianapolis Colts at 9, Chicago Bears at 8, Green Bay Packers at 7, Detroit Lions at 6, Buffalo Bills at 5, Philadelphia Eagles at 4, Seattle Seahawks at 3, New England Patriots at 2, and the Los Angeles Rams round things out at number 1. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time. Have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.